Now, this is a very topical subject, worship. And in many churches today, you will find that there is a war going on. We call that worship wars. There's a war going on within the congregation itself because the congregation is divided into two kinds of worshippers. And usually this divides along the generations. We have the older generation, and they are used to a certain kind of worship, traditional worship. That's the kind of worship that they want, and that's the kind of worship that they always have had. So they say, we want the old hymns, we want the traditional organ, we want solemnity, we want the minister to wear a dog collar, and so on and so forth. And then there is the younger generation growing up in the church, and they want contemporary worship. They want worship which is more exciting than these old, boring hymns, sung to old, boring hymn tunes on an old, dusty and boring organ. And often, in these churches which are driven or divided by this worship war, a compromise has been reached. At 9 o'clock, we will have our contemporary worship service, which will please the young people. You can have your modern choruses and your youth band. And then at 11 o'clock, we'll have another service, which will be the traditional worship service. And that will please the old people. We will have the old-fashioned hymns with the old tunes and the old organ. And this is supposed to be a solution to the worship war, which is threatening to tear apart the church. But that compromise is a disaster for the church. It destroys the church's unity, because now we have two churches within one congregation. We've got the older members, they meet at a certain time. You've got the younger members, they meet at a certain time, and often these members never really come together because they have nothing in common, they think. And so you have young people's Bible studies and old people's Bible studies. And these generations in the church never learn from one another, which is what God intended when He brought the church together. The old can teach the young, and the young can also teach the old something about how to lead a Christian life. But the second commandment is the answer to worship wars in the church. Because the second commandment answers the question, how must God be worshipped? Shall God be worshipped in the traditional way, the way which pleases the old people? Or shall God be worshipped in a more contemporary way, the way which pleases the young people? And the answer is neither. Neither the old people nor the young people determine how God shall be worshipped. God determines how He shall be worshipped. God determines what is proper in the worship service. God determines what pleases Him and what best edifies His people as they come together to worship God. Not man, not the young people, not the old people, not society, not the minister, not the elders, God. God alone. That's the essence of the second commandment.